Welcome back to the Blazer Victory Podcast, episode number 68. This is John Duncan, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Steve Irvine. And yes, you guys are seeing back-to-back episodes in your feed if you are subscribed to the Blazer Victory Podcast. You know, we have been pumping out the content for you guys left and right here lately. First and foremost, if you haven't already, go back a couple episodes and listen to our Byu Bowl Preview. We were able to get Mitch Harper on. Great interview. I was able to do an interview with Ethan Bach from West Virginia Sports Now to get you guys ready for the big basketball game Saturday against West Virginia. And here we are, Steve, you and me, talking about these 18 guys that UAB was able to land here on early signing day, December 15th. I mean, we were talking earlier in the day, and I mean, I was just blown away, man. This is a great signing class, and this is just early signing day. I mean, we might have some more roll in February, and it might be some more transfers. I don't know, but hey, this group of guys we got today, we just had to jump on and do an episode right quick for you guys because we are excited about this group coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they met a lot of needs. They got some really good players. I mean, you're going to look at the rankings and honestly,
who cares?
Honestly, I just looked at them just now for the first time today, and I mean, I don't even know. I think UAB was ranked 9th in the conference or something. But I'm not a believer in those rankings. Certainly, especially at this level. I mean, I think the rankings are maybe a little bit more accurate, toward the top and some of the, Power 5 type things. But, I don't really care what the rankings say. I think this is a great class. I think this is the best class that, just kind of spitball, just sort of, quick reaction. I think this is probably the best class that, Bill Clark has signed there. I mean, just certainly in a one day, whether it be the signing day in February or early signing, I think this is probably the best one. And time will tell, and that's what's great about this, what this staff has been able to do. It really doesn't matter what, rankings say, what recruiting rankings say. They develop these kids and obviously have won, a lot of championships and a lot of games. With probably some a little lower ranking than some would like them to have, but this one, I mean, I think it's tremendous. I mean, I think your kind of first reaction is to look at the quarterback position. I think they, man, I really think that they upgraded that quarterback room, and not that it was a bad room before, and I think that's one thing that. Coach Clark said on a little conference call he had today was, he likes where they were, but he, certainly likes better where they are now, and I think Jacob Zeno, I mean, it's hard not to get excited about him. Watching him. I mean, former 4-star guy, recruited by a lot of top-notch guys, top-notch programs, and, had I think in 2 years ago in the championship game, I think he had like an 80-yard touchdown pass. He was not the starter.
But, came off the bench. Yeah, and just came in throwing dimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and just great arm strength. I mean, he's an athletic guy who can hurt you a little bit running. But I think he's more of a drop back guy. He's more of a passer than he is a runner. But he can certainly hurt you with his legs too. But that's exciting, man. That's exciting that. He's here, and Damon Stewart. I mean, Damon Stewart's a kid that led his team to that championship game in high school, and I think it was Oak Grove or one of the Mississippi schools, and went to East Mississippi and was a backup quarterback this year. Didn't win the job, but he's a guy who has a lot of ability. I know they're really excited about him. He's a playmaker. Not a big guy. He certainly can beat you with his legs, and he throws the ball pretty well too. And so you add those two guys to with Dylan Hopkins and Lucero and Dylan Mahotra that was there freshman last year, that was has a year of at least practice season a little bit, and so it's gonna be a great competition, and that's what it is. It's gonna be a competition. I mean, there was nobody that, Bill Clark didn't say today, and I guarantee he won't say tomorrow, and guarantee he won't say in the first of spring practice that bringing Jacob Zeno in here to be the starter. They're bringing him in here to compete to be the starter, and
Right.
I think that's the great thing. I mean, I think you have some great competition because it's certainly not going to be given to him, and Dylan Hopkins, I guarantee, is going to do everything he can to make sure he's still a starter, and as of right now he is, and as in the first day of spring practice he will be. But it's going to be a heck of a competition, and so it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and going really quickly back to Zeno, I mean, this was a guy, as you mentioned earlier, Steve, a 4-star guy, played at Baylor. I mean, but this was a guy, coming out of high school, had SEC offers as well from Georgia, Missouri, Florida, Arkansas. I mean, this was a highly touted guy out of San Antonio, and I'm glad we were able to get him over here to UAB and just, breed more competition in that quarterback room. And you mentioned too, the guy from East Mississippi, Stewart, coming in. Yeah, he didn't start, but I mean, he helped them. They had a very successful season this past year at East Mississippi, and we know East Mississippi, year in and year out, typically has a great program over there in the community college level in Mississippi. So definitely great to get both of those guys in, and I just can't wait to see what spring practice is going to be like with both of those guys competing. With Hopkins, with Marotra, with Lucero. So I definitely can't wait to see that. And that's just another thing with this early signing class that UAB was able to get with these 18 guys today is, it honestly, it addresses just not an immediate need, but just immediate, depth is just added right away, with guys leaving or, with Tyler Johnson entering the portal, he was leaving, but you bring in 2 quarterbacks right away. You bring in, I'm assuming after these 2 guys, we're going to hit into some of those offensive line or tight end, wherever you want to go with this team. But it's just, it addresses immediate, I guess, things that UAB was going to have to address this next year with a lot of guys, kind of moving on to where.
Right. And I think you just, you kind of hit on something too, is a lot of this, it might be guys who end up, providing quality depth next year, and because one thing we don't know, and I think the coaches probably have a little better. Well, I know the coaches have a little better feel for this, but not. I don't think anybody has 100% feel for this. Is we still don't know who's going to be here, anywhere. I'm not talking about just UAB. I'm talking about everywhere. I mean, right now they have, everybody from what I understand is, other than the kids that have already left in the portal, everybody else is accounted for and ready and playing. But, none of us really know what's going to happen when the bowl game's over. I mean, you could have several more leaving. You could have none leaving. And again, I'm not just talking about UAB. I'm talking about everywhere. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, things change a little bit. Let's be honest, things change a lot
every day.
If a guy like, say, Alex Wright decides he's going to either chase an NFL dream or get in a portable, or a guy like Shropshire or Dwayne McBride. I mean, and again, these are names I'm just throwing out. I'm not saying any of them are thinking this. I'm just saying, things change a lot in this transfer portal world. I mean, 2 years ago you wouldn't be saying this. Now you might be saying it about a couple guys. You might be saying it about, well, I wonder what Alex Wright's going to do, because he's one that, probably could, is certainly going to get some NFL looks. I'm just so maybe 2 years ago you might be talking about him and maybe one, one other, Telford or somebody, Kadeem Telford or somebody. But now in the transfer portal world, you sort of look at everybody, and go, I wonder what they're thinking. I wonder what they're thinking. And again, I'm talking about every program in the country. I'm not just talking about one program.
Right.
So we really don't know. We don't have a great sense or any sense at all of exactly who's going to be here. I think if everybody stays that can stay, other than the seniors that are leaving and graduating, then these guys are going to add great depth. B, well, A, add great competition for a job, and B, possibly, be a depth guy. Might be a starter, but then you have the depth guy that was a starter. So,
Right.
I think that's kind of the key, sort of the key right now to look at it, because we really don't quite know. But well, I do really like what they did, bringing in some, big guys up front,
Yes.
especially because, you're losing some key guys there, for sure, losing some key guys there now,
Yeah.
offensively, you're losing, obviously Colby Ragland, who's been huge for this program. You're losing Jacoby Jones, who's been, such a versatile, wonderful player. Andrew Smith has been a versatile, wonderful guy up front. And so you're losing those guys for sure. You don't know from there. You don't really know. I mean, but I thought they added some guys last year that are going to help, and I think they added some guys this year that are going to help. They kind of did their looking for the JUCO type kids, but they brought some. They also signed a couple really good high school guys too with
And
Gunter.
local
Yeah,
guys.
Gunter
Yeah.
was huge. I mean, that was a guy I know they loved all along and really liked all along. And he had committed to Liberty and was a late switch to UAB, and that was just before signing day, and that was huge.
Yes.
But I think Luke Jones is a guy that is a big kid, 6'4", 295 from Georgia, that will be another guy that's going to have a chance to play there. And I think the one good thing about those kids is they're going to have a chance to develop, because I think there's enough numbers there with a couple of guys they added, plus with a couple, plus, like I said, with some guys last year and some guys coming back. I mean, I think that, Sidney Wells planning on coming back is huge. I
Yes.
mean, I think that's huge. And I mean, if Kadeem Telford does decide to come back, which at this point there's no reason to think he's not going to, I mean, to start the year with, Sidney Wells on one side at tackle and Kadeem Telford on the other side of tackle, that's pretty good start, but just in case they went out and got some good Jaquavius Yates, I think is a big kid that's going to be a nice player for him. And Tater.
Yes. Best nickname, man. I swear, Tater.
I have no idea how to say that last name. As they say, by a vowel.
There you go.
Maybe I can pronounce it. But
Yeah.
he's an Alabama guy. He went away for junior college, but he's from I think it's Smith Station. Where he played in high school at. So, but
did you see those offers that he had too, like UTSA?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, East Carolina. I mean, he chose UAB over some pretty good programs.
And I think he was a two-time All-American, JUCO All-American. So I think he's a guy, and he'll play probably in the interior somewhere, either guard or I'm not sure if he can play center, but certainly be guard. So I think that you got some guys there that are going to help. Have the possibility to help immediately. Which is could be important next year. Because I think they have some good pieces coming back, but they might need some more numbers, and so I'm excited about those guys. On the other side, kind of staying on the big side thing, or big guy thing. I think Tariq Howard. I mean, this kid is 6'6", 310, and I don't know that UAB's ever had a 6'6" tackle.
I don't think so.
Maybe they have, but I don't remember them. So I mean, that's a big kid in there now. So and he's joining. I mean, Tyree Turner's definitely gone.
Yeah.
He's a kid that graduated. So to have him. Have some experienced guys step in there and fight for playing time with some good guys. Now there's still some good guys up front there that that he's going to work with. So I'm excited to see what he can do. It was I think I think the hope is he can step right in and find a way to be part of that rotation. And then Joker Gill. Joker Gill's a guy that I think fits right into their to their jack linebacker type, or defensive end on the other side. But I mean, he fits right in that. He's 6'4", 260, big kid. I think it's gets after it. I think he's the type of. I think he can step right in and play. And that's they've got to be. They've got to be able to fill that spot. That's such a key position for this defense. Maybe the biggest key of this defense to have guys on the outside there that can really disrupt offenses, passing games and quarterbacks. So, it's going to be exciting to see him, compete with some guys there, and so that'll be fun. I mean, that'll be fun to watch with those guys. I think we kind of touched on. I think we've got all the big guys. That's so many of them. It's hard to really remember. But I think
so. Yeah. I mean, also, you look at the guys too that were, adding in the secondary. I mean, you look at like a Cody Martin. He's from Hoover, but he played at Iowa Western. I mean, choosing UAB over, Troy, Tulane. I mean, Jacksonville State. I mean, he's coming up in the FBS. That's a good get. I believe he's listed at 5'8", 190. But a really good cornerback. I mean, you also look at. Let me see. Another local guy from Spanish Fort. Clark using that Spanish Fort connection again with Carl Fortroy coming in. Choosing over, UAB over Indiana, Georgia State. I mean, this goes back to, it's just great to see more, local kids deciding to stay close to home and go to UAB. And Steve, I tell you what, that stadium has a lot to, that new stadium has a lot to do, because the coaching staff did a fantastic job, just showing these local kids, what they can help, build in with Protective Stadium and all the nice amenities that it has. And, of course, the operations center. But it's just great to finally start to see, it all coming together and seeing some kids. And these won't be the last. I'm hoping that they can get a couple more local kids in February. But to see some local kids deciding to, stay close to home and play for UAB.
Yeah, I mean, I think Protective, there's no doubt. I mean, I think one really, Coach Clark really thinks his way through this thing. I mean, not much misses. He doesn't miss much. And he, one thing that he made sure to do with the new stadium is there. He has basically a little recruiting lounge. Basically, he has an office in there. And so he's able to, when he takes his kids to their stadium, they do the stadium tour and they're excited and all that kind of stuff. And he can sit down with them right away and sit down across the table from them or on, next to them on, in chairs or wherever they are. And basically, push for a commitment, during that excitement, which is, and I guarantee that's huge. I mean, I haven't been to a recruiting weekend over there, but I guarantee you that's a big part of what they do. And, and that's just, I mean, heck, we all know how great that stadium is. And that has a lot to do with it. You're absolutely right. I mean, having the championship games there, Iverson Hooks, you think Iverson Hooks didn't love that place, and that's a guy. Now that's a guy that obviously we didn't know about until late, commitment wise, but that's a guy that has me excited now. I mean, he's one of those kids that, he's 5'10", 160 is what he's listed at, but boy, you turn on that tape and it's just one of those, guys that I've been wanting for a long time for this offense to have, and. I mean, I think Jermaine Brown brings a little bit of that, and but I mean, this is a guy they're going to put in the slot. I mean, you watch his tape, and he made quarterback, offensively. He played quarterback most of the time at Pike Road, and led him to the state championship. But the way he makes guys miss, man, it's just. It's fun. It's fun to watch.
He had over 2,000 rushing yards as a senior.
Yeah, so. and I'm telling you, and most of them were, on runs that 5, 6, 7 guys had a chance to hit him. And so I really look forward to seeing what he's going to bring to this offense. He can bring that true slot guy. I mean, he can bring what Jalen Darden brought to North Texas. He can bring and I always go back to that Zach Dobson kid that played at Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And when UAB beat him in the championship game, and kid was so dynamic, man. And I kept thinking, like, man, we got to get one of these guys. We got to get that. We got to get that guy. And I think this is a guy that could be that guy, and so I'm excited about that, and I mean, I think that was a huge pickup. So that was good, but I think there were some other offensive pieces. I think one thing they had to do was figure out a way to get some more tight end depth in there, and I think they did that. I mean, with J.C. Sibley, I've seen him in person. He's big kid. I think he's really going to be a nice addition to him, and especially once he gets a little stronger, college stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to help a lot, and I think Dallas Payne. I mean, you look at Dallas Payne, and I mean, he just goes up over people and makes catches, and he was a kid that I think was more of a kind of an outside receiver in high school. It's because he was athletic, but he's. I'm not going to say he's going to give you what Garrett Prince gives you, because I think they're different a little bit, but he's certainly going to give you that a matchup problem, from that position. I don't think he's, I don't think he has the foot speed that Garrett Prince does from that position, but I do think he has enough to give you problems there, and he's bigger. He's bigger than Garrett Prince is. He's a 6'5" kid, so I think he's going to be a guy that fits into there. And so, and that's a position of need. I mean, for sure, his position of need.
Yeah.
You don't know. Malik Bryant was hurt this year, so hopefully he'll be able, because they've been waiting on him, and I think that if he's healthy, I think he can, play there. But we don't know. And so to be able to address that a little bit with these two guys, I think was huge, and they did a great job of finding those guys.
Right. And, we hit on tight end, both lines. Got a couple good running backs, too. And a local guy, Taven Curry out of Robertsdale, coming in, chose UAB over South Alabama. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons for Robertsdale these last couple years. And also, you look at Zeus Perryman, coming out of another East Mississippi Community College, man. I mean, this guy. Whew,
you talk about a rock now. I mean, that guy is ripped now. I mean, he was a leading rusher at East Mississippi last year, and he's just he runs through people.
Yes.
He's got some pretty good quickness. Not a tall guy. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's not a tall guy. And I mean, he's ripped. I mean, I think they list him at 5'11", 225 maybe, and he looks like he might even be more than 225. I mean, just a strong kid. So yeah, it'll be, I think both those guys, and I think, Curry is kind of a kid that is probably a little underappreciated. He's I mean, I think he's good now. I mean, he's a solid guy. Not the same size, but sort of reminds you of Spencer Brown in the way of not quite being appreciated, kind of under the radar type thing, coming out of high school at least. And so I think that he's a guy that could, that could certainly help. Certainly help this rotation.
Yes, definitely. Well, Steve, I think we trying to see if we missed anybody.
Yeah, the one we missed, and I hate it because I think he's going to be, key part of this is Trey Miles.
Trey Miles.
Trey
yes.
Miles. You talking about a great athlete? I mean, he was Phoenix City, played quarterback at Phoenix City Central, and split time with the younger Caleb Nix, and last year, not 2021, but in 2020, and then played at a prep school last year. He reclassified and was at a prep school, and he's going to come in as a cornerback, and I think he's a great athlete, and I think he's a guy that. Like he's a year older, so I mean he's a guy that might be able to work his way in the mix right away. I mean, I think great athlete, and I thought he was a really good quarterback at when he got a chance at Central, but he's very athletic, and so I think he's got a chance to get in work his way into a cornerback rotation. Obviously there's some good cornerbacks coming back, but I think he has a chance of working in rotation. So, hey, we missed him when we were talking about him before, but I think he's going to be a key part of this. And another guy we didn't touch on was AJ Brown. As a safety out of Walton High School in Georgia, which I think they made it to the semifinals this year. So it's a good program, and I think he's going to be a solid guy. Also.
Definitely. Well, guys, UAB was able to officially sign 18 guys on this early signing day, December 15th. And we'll see in February if they're able to add some more guys and hopefully some more local guys too. But again, this was just kind of an instant reaction, to what we saw today.
And we also missed another key guy. I'm just kind of scrolling as we're talking, because it's hard to but Reese Collier, linebacker. I think that's another position of need that he's a guy that you look at him in uniform and he reminds you a lot of Chris Mole, a younger Chris Mole. He's 6'1". Well, even now he's 6'1", 195. Watching his huddle tape today. I don't know that he runs as well as Chris Mole, but he runs well, and boy, I tell you what, he'll hit you now. That's one thing he jumped out in the huddle. So I think he's a guy who's at Coffeyville Community College. I think he's a guy that, maybe physically looks like he could fit into the star position, but, watching the tape, he played more they moved him around a lot. But he played a lot of the inside linebacker and really was productive from what you could see. So he's a guy that, again, I think linebacker is going to be a position that they really need some guys to step up or step in either way. And, I think he's a guy that can, has a really good chance to work his way in that rotation.
Definitely. And again, Steve, Coach Clark and the coaching staff, I think, did a great job in just addressing positions that we really needed, just to add more depth or more competition for, heading into spring of 2022. Because, like I mentioned earlier, we did have a few guys leave that are definitely going to be missed, that are moving on to other things. But I think that Coach Clark just again did a great job in just getting these 18 guys to come to UAB.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And I look forward to see what happens in February.
Me too.
Because I do think that there's some other holes that either already need to be filled or will need to be filled if people decide to leave, and you just never know with this with this transfer portal world or who's going to be available. Yeah. There might be somebody all of a sudden pop up that you just go, wow, that's we got to chase that guy because he's something that we really need, and so I think there's going to be a lot of that. And the other thing that I think's really going to be interesting to me in general in February is, a lot of these, unfortunately, with the portal, high school kids have been sort of
I hate it for them.
A little bit.
Yeah,
well, I hate it, but I think that there's going to be some high school guys that are available in February that probably wouldn't have been available, 3 years ago at this point. So I think that that's going to be interesting to see, guys that fell through the cracks a little bit, or, might have had might even been a commitment somewhere, but then they got a portal kid and then all of a sudden they didn't need him. And so that's going to be interesting to me to see that, who's going to be out there. I think that's one thing that, this coaching staff is going to be diligent on, kind of looking for that type of thing too. So I think we got a lot of a good intrigue still coming, still going to happen with this recruiting class. But as of right now, I think it's, tremendous. I think they did a tremendous job. And again, it's easy because we've become conditioned to, worry about rankings and that type of thing. But, in this case, I don't know that, I mean, I don't, and I mean, I don't fault anybody that does, but I just think that like you said, they met a lot of needs, and that's what's important in recruiting.
Definitely. And guys, we'll be back for as far as National Signing Day in February. We'll be back again in February to just recap what all happens again. But the other guys that decide to sign in February. But again, just make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to our podcast on a podcast platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, and go back and listen to our bowl preview for the BYU game. Go back and listen to our West Virginia preview, and we'll be back Monday morning probably to recap what happens in the Independence Bowl against BYU. But as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. And also, for hitting us up on Twitter. I threw that Twitter question on that. If this gets, more than 20 retweets, then we'll drop this episode. And you guys responded very quickly within an hour. And we were already, almost at 30 within an hour. So definitely appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're not following us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/BlazerPod. But we'll be back Monday to recap that Independence Bowl. But as always, guys, go Blazers.